So lately there has been a lot of controversy in Croatia about our actions. They are more direct. We promote direct animal liberation. We promote sabotaging events such as hunting or fishing, and we also participate in such actions. And we come to festivals that glorify milk or meat, and we disrupt them and show the other side. And a lot of animal rights groups even and the public have condemned those actions and said that we should always be peaceful in our activism and that those actions are not good. So I want to ask you, should we really focus so much what the public will think, or should we only focus on the only thing that is important, that's saving lives of animals?
Well, it never helps to needlessly alienate the public, but if you worry about the public more than your impact on a corporation or a form of exploitation, you'll never get anywhere, because the public's opinion either is irrelevant in most cases, because they sit at home and drink beer and watch TV, or public opinion is far behind the level of action and change. So when I talked about the abolitionist movement in the U.S. and it began in 1830, they're very unpopular. They're a minority movement. People within the anti-slavery movement did strongly dislike them. But it's the radicals that push history forward, the radical tactics that eventually the public catch up with. Martin Luther King wasn't very popular amongst many crowds, but he today is universally acclaimed as a hero. So you have to push public opinion forward and never let it dictate your actions. Let it catch up with you. So you don't want to do anything that would radically impair sympathy or understanding, if not immediately down the road. But confrontational actions that don't hurt anybody, it's ridiculous to call that violent. And these actions are very effective. And I think, like in the case of the Animal Liberation Front, that the overwhelming focus was on striking an oppressor and bringing down an oppressor and let the public think what it will. And that's why you have a press office. You try to help manage public opinion. So it's not like they're incompatible anyway. But I always say do the effective action and worry about public opinion later, if at all.
I also wanted to ask you what do you think about animal rights groups that promote vegetarianism as an ethical lifestyle? Because vegetarianism does kill animals, and I think that we send the wrong message to the public by saying yes, you can eat dairy and eggs. Yeah. I think we should focus on veganism because that's the only ethical lifestyle.
Well, that was the reason why Donald Watson founded the movement of veganism and created the term veganism in 1944, was to say that vegetarianism is only halfway. Why go halfway? You can't be half correct, be completely correct, half consistent, be completely consistent, and go vegan and break with this industry in all facets of it, which do not just include flesh, but eggs, dairy, and various so-called byproducts. So if an animal rights group is promoting vegetarianism, they're obviously trying to make it easier for people to gradually change. Their viewpoint may be they'll ultimately become vegan, but they shouldn't call themselves an animal rights group. They should call themselves a health group or animal advocacy group or animal welfare group. But animal rights is incompatible with vegetarianism. That's still a system of exploitation indeed. It's not abolitionist. That's not rights. It's compromising. And it's not strong enough.
You were talking about the abolitionist movement from the 18th century to today, and you mentioned that people were abolished just because they had real principles and they did not compromise. Yeah. They wanted abolition now, no better chains, no better conditions. Yeah. But only in animal rights do we make compromises. Yeah. So what do you think that is? You know, we don't go for abolition and for veganism, but bigger cages, more humane killing and stuff like that. That's the only movement where we make compromises with the aggressors.
I think it's because the problem is so huge and animal rights is so more difficult an issue for people to grasp than human rights that people are skeptical that we can make any real progress unless it's step-by-step, gradual, and very slow and partial. But that sends the message that animals are different from humans and we should have the same non-compromising approach. It sends the message that you can be partially correct, 30% correct, 70% correct, rather than 100% correct. It sends the message that there is any other way to break with exploitation and total abolition, and not just regulating the system. So we really should learn from the abolitionist movement in the U.S. in the 19th century that you get what you ask for. And if you ask for partial change, that's all you'll get. And you get it, and you're done. You can't ask for more. And you ask for the full cake, the full loaf of bread, and not some crumbs, well, you just might get it. The problem with that approach is it might be too purist, it might be too idealistic, but the solution to that is to find gradual forms of change that are abolitionists. Because we won't abolish all of speciesism, but we can abolish it piece by piece and not regulate it. So you ask your local town to abolish circuses, not to treat the elephants better. That's an abolitionist measure. And veganism is an abolitionist approach. So it's important to send the right message, a consistent message, not a double message, a mixed message that yes, animals have rights, but no, we don't have to fully respect those rights. So you have to be consistent in your philosophy and your tactics.
The abolitionist approach that we know today is mostly known for Gary Francione, and his approach, which is not active at all. So he stands for doing nothing, just talking to people in the supermarket and asking them if they are vegan. And he also condemns single-issue campaigns. But I think that if we do single-issue campaigns in an abolitionist way, they are okay, because we can protest the circus and ban all circuses, and then a week later ban all zoos and ban all milk and eggs. So I don't think that those are single-issue campaigns, as long as we don't say just don't kill elephants, but it's okay to kill chickens. We at the same time want to abolish everything. But
so first of all, there's nothing wrong with a single-issue campaign. It has a focus and a power, and the Shack movement has proven that.
yeah.
And you go after the weak links, one link at a time, and that can be a single issue. And you win one victory, and you win another, and you grow in power. But veganism is a single issue. I mean, Francione plays with the word single issue, so it means it doesn't include his single issue focus on veganism. Veganism is a single issue approach. What is not single issue is alliance politics, looking at commonalities of oppression, and how animal exploitation is connected to earth and human exploitation. That is the only non-single issue approach. So Francione, he plays with that term, he equivocates, he's ambiguous with that, and he gets a lot of mileage out of a misuse of language.
I also want to ask you about vegans who are just focusing on veganism and claim to be a better person just because they are vegan, but are still, I don't know, sexist, racist, or homophobic. We as a group oppose to all of forms of oppression, and I think that we as an animal rights movement should connect to all other movements, feminist movement,
BTIQ
movement and everything to, because oppression is oppression, and we have to be united to fight against all of forms of oppression.
Well, you're not a better person just because you choose a certain lifestyle, even if it has an ethical component. Because you can be an intolerant person, you can become dogmatic, you can become holier than thou. And yes, indeed, you can still be racist or sexist or homophobic. That doesn't necessarily change with veganism. Veganism doesn't change your basic personality either. It doesn't make you compassionate towards humans. It doesn't make you a more loyal friend or a better partner in any particular way. If you're a liar, you're still a liar. If you're a cheater, you're still a cheater. And if you're a backstabber and a gossiper, you will continue those actions. So vegans really need to understand that this is not a religion. They don't have the truth. To be a good person involves many levels of change, and to be a politically correct, if you will, or a politically responsible person involves eliminating and challenging all forms of discrimination, and not just animals. As important, obviously, as the animal liberation cause is. So we don't want to work with people who are pro-animal liberation, but who are fascist or conservative or sexist or homophobic. They can go somewhere else, because this movement is about the big picture, and it's about building bridges. But at the same time, we need to understand it is difficult to build bridges with progressive social movements and left-wing movements, because they're deeply speciesist. And we have no basis yet that we have been able to build. We have to slowly, patiently build bridges with these movements. So we have our work cut out for us. In theory, it works perfectly. But in practice, there are very few examples of this. Yeah.
We just started.
So the question becomes, how do you build bridges across social movements? We understand in theory that these oppressions are interconnected. But the practice of building common movements, diverse movements with a common goal, is very challenging.
Thank you so much.
All right. I hope that helps. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.